And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mr. and Mrs. Friendly Ex Muslim podcast. Today, I have someone we've been trying to get this set up for a few weeks now. He goes by Jabir or Jay. I'll just call him Jay. And Jay is a Pakistani ex Muslim, Sunni Muslim that has been going through quite a bit and has found his way to the religion of Islam. And so we're going to talk about his story. It's very interesting. I want you to stick around with us and hear what happened, hear how this has actually basically ruined his life, right? And so
Mhm.
we're gonna go through that, but there's a lot here that we've been talking for a few days, and there's a lot of details here. He was a former Sunni Sufi Muslim, so he has a lot of experiences that I have not ever experienced, and it's gonna be good. So, all right, let's get into it. All right, so how's it going?
Hey Samir, thank you so much for having me. And finally, we're able to sit down and have the discussion. And it's really feels good to be heard because once you go through all these phases and then you come out and then there you aren't left with many people who hear or understand you, right? And it's great to know that you're one of those people who really kind of helps these kind of people, and you listen to them, you hear them, and you understand. Like kind of my situation and my disposition and how things are. And yeah, it's awesome. Thanks. And
Yeah.
for having a channel like that where people can actually relate and, listen to other stories and, know better than whatever the dogma is fed to them.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely related to your story being a fellow dad and fellow divorcee and someone that was also affected, not nearly as great as the way you are because your family is Pakistani and there's a lot more going on there. But I also really related to your journey. You know, you went up and you had your ups and downs where
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about it, but where you went through some mullah stage and then
Mhm.
so I do
Mhm.
want to get to all that, so let's start at the beginning. So how did this all let's talk about the personal journey.
So I was born and raised in Karachi, Pakistan, and to a middle income, middle class family. And my family had was Sunni, and like Sunni with uh I'd say Deobandi till later in life, but like majority of my life we were like just normal Hanafi Sunni, and where nothing religion was not really pushed onto me except for like learning the Quran, reading the Quran, and going to prayers like Friday, etc. But like it wasn't really pushed, but like still it was like the main reality, like everybody's lived reality. The most important thing was religion. So, I mean, fast forward, I was always like a free-thinking, free-spirited sort of a person who did used to have his doubts and questions. Like one funny thing I really remember from my childhood was like, like every time, like why do these guys have to sing the Quran? Like if God is really talking, I mean, why can't they just like make it a normal conversation if there's serious stuff being talked about, dude? And even when you go to the mosque, like during the khutbah and all, like we don't understand Arabic, man. Like, let us know if it's something so important where you're supposed to be completely quiet and keep your head down. So at least translate it for us, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, fast forward in 2018, I was going through like a really low point in my life, and those days, like, there was this random person that I met, like, who mentioned something like, funnily enough, who was a flat Earth believer, and how absurd that is. And then, like, like, his evidence for that was one of a verse from the Quran. And, like, I was like, dude, that's not possible. Like, tell me the verse. So then, like, in my own time, I, looked it up, and like there actually was a verse which said like like the earth is spread out like a carpet. And then at that time I tried and like convinced myself. I said like that's okay, like a carpet can be folded around a round thing also, man. So this does not imply a flat earth. And yeah, so but that's what led me into reading the Quran. And from there on, like the Quran's translation was open on my laptop, and like almost every night I used to come back to my laptop, and then it was still open, so I used to read a few more, like few more chapters, few more pages. And at that time, like obviously, once if you're born in a Muslim country with a Muslim family, everything, so you're raised with the firm conviction that, this is literally the spoken word of God, no questions. So, with that in mind, you obviously tend to read the Quran and its translation with that lens. And once you're reading it with that lens, so if you even come across something that you can't understand, or that's something like, you kind of see like what's going on here, man. So you still have to like, ignore it and suppress it because you're the lesser being. You don't have the intellect and the understanding, and this is infinite wisdom going on, which is beyond you, obviously. So that's why you gotta, you're the one who is at fault, not God. And that's the lens, right? And that's how I read it. And like I saw a few conversion videos here, there, and then ultimately I was like, I mean, if this is really the spoken word of God, this is the manual of life. So, I mean, I am wrong to not be following it, to the dot. That's what I'm supposed to do. And then that's when I converted like full mullah, like 360 degrees. Like, I grew a full beard and used to shave my mustaches and wear long clothes and, topi all the time, like a cap, like a Muslim cap, prayer cap all the time. And then that led in me into, going to the mosque to this one religious friend that I knew, and like, he introduced me to this person who was basically a sheikh, but not a random sheikh, but like a sheikh of a spiritual order, like a Sufi spiritual order. So now there are basically like four major. There are many Sufi orders, but like four major Sufi orders, and one of them is Naqshbandi. So there's like Surwardi, and there's like Jalandhri, and there are others too. And all of these other Sufi orders, so they basically link themselves with Hazrat Ali. But this Naqshbandi one, this one is tied back to Hazrat Abu Bakr, and then from Abu Bakr to the Prophet, and then obviously from the Prophet to God. Yeah, right. So there's like that chain going on. So I met that person, and then I pledged allegiance to him, which is called Bat, right? So Bat, I made Bat to him. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
Bat means is basically that,
Yeah, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
what it means is basically that now you accept that person as your spiritual father of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
And now all matters of your religion, you kind of, like now he is going to advise you on it, and you are supposed to like kind of like because of your pledge or your allegiance, you're supposed to be bound to be follow whatever his advice is for your spirituality and religion.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, and
So before we go further, I wanted to ask you about this a little bit. Like, tell me how, when you're going through this low period of your life,
mhm.
how was it appealing to you to go back to the religion? Like, what did this give you? Give you a sense of like stability, give you a sense of purpose? What, and then of course the Sufi thing we can talk about next.
Yeah, so about that, yeah, of course. I mean, all these things that you mentioned, and it's one of those things that it kind of like once you accept religion as the ultimate reality and the afterlife as the ultimate reality, so there's like a shift in your mindset. So then, financial success and all that, it doesn't really matter that much, right? Like because then your entire success and your purpose is hinging on the hope that you have to please God and enter the heaven, right? And prepare for the afterlife. So I mean, mediocre, I mean, like mediocre pay or whatever, everything shortcomings in your real material life, they don't matter that much anymore.
Right.
And you kind of like put them on the back burner, and that's how it is.
Mm. That makes
And
sense. That's why a lot of people
yeah,
actually, when they're going through tough times, they do turn to religion because it's
mm,
kind of like it changes the balance of like what matters. So even if
right.
your life sucks, oh, you
Mm.
still got this other life that's coming that's even
Right,
better. So
exactly.
might as
So you
well
don't need to worry
get,
about like, yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
you don't need
exactly,
to worry
exactly.
about it. God will give me, Allah will
100%.
give me better, right? Yeah.
And if you notice, like this is like a really big, like at least that's what I noticed. Like most of these peoples, like even these converts, like these white or whatever non-Muslim converts or reverts, as they like to say, uh, they are
Rebirth.
also going through like whatever. Whenever that, like
Yeah.
mostly when that happens, they're going through a very low point in their life, and that's when
Yeah.
they take up Islam or
That
any
is
religion.
something very, very true that we've noticed, and we've
Mm,
actually done some analysis on many different converts to Islam.
mm.
A bunch of them, like a big number of them, actually have some sort of problems in their life. I mean, it kind
Yeah,
of makes sense. Like if everything is going fine for you, you're not going to just go and change your whole life and become Muslim. Like something has
exactly.
to be wrong for you to have this pain that you think you're going to get better, so you change everything up. And yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, funny, and it reminds me of this like thing like after my deconstruction and like when I was like about to whatever like I'll share those things later, but like one of my brother-in-law, who's having a good life, he works at Amazon and stuff, and like he was like, dude, why does it even matter? Like, why does it even matter? Like, if religion is true or not? I mean, you just go with the program, right? You just live your life, man. Why does it even matter that religion is supposed to be true? Like, I'm like, dude, really? How can you say that? Like, does it
Yeah.
not matter?
Yeah. This was when you were religious, you mean?
No, this was like in the final days of
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
confrontation or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, okay.
anyways, coming
Yeah.
back to you know, my Sufi days.
Hmm.
So obviously, like I put went all in with the Sufi program and like with the Naqshbandi Sufi order, and because it's like you. So, I mean, it did help me because, like, one of the main things about Sufi, like Naqshbandi Sufi, or is called like the silent Sufis. They're called the silent Sufis because, like, they do zikr silently. They don't vocalize it. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, like these other like Kalandris and all, they do like Allahu, Allahu, Allahu kind of, wird, which is called like I don't know how do you say it in English? Like
I have
these
no
these
idea how
these
to translate
repetitions,
that. Yeah.
these mantras
Mantras.
are
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. So they do that to like invoke their spiritual states. But like in the Naqshbandi is silent. Like the Naqshbandi Sufis, like they just sit down, eyes closed, and they meditate. Like the meditation, the focus of that meditation is like they don't like to call it meditation. It's called muraqabah, which is
Hmm.
basically you kind of tune in all your focus towards your spiritual heart, not your physical heart, but your spiritual heart, which is kind of located around the same area where your physical heart is. And so the idea is that you just listen to your, you really listen to your spiritual heart doing like saying like every time it beats, it's saying Allah, 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 Allah. So so it's not like you're trying to intentionally make it say
Yeah.
that. It's saying it by default. You're just tuning in to hear it.
Mm.
So that's the
With
concept.
the heartbeat.
Yeah,
So like if you're doing
and it's not the
exercise,
physical heartbeat.
it's not
It's
physical,
not
but
the
if
it's the
you're doing
spiritual heart.
exercise, so does it tune to the heartbeat? Like if you're doing exercise, it's going faster, is Allah, Allah,
Yeah,
Allah faster too?
so then you can even notice more. But like that's the thing, right? That was like
Yeah.
the connotation. Like the sheikh used to say that, so you're not supposed to focus on the physical heartbeat. It's the spiritual one. Like, but slowly, gradually, you will get to realize the other one from the other.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that was that, and like I used to be visiting my sheikh like 3 times a week, and you were supposed to like spend as much time as you could with your sheikh, because apparently, like in the presence of your sheikh, your spiritual level increases because you're kind of like you're soaking in the spiritual essence from your sheikh because your sheikh is the source for you,
Yeah.
because he is connected to a spiritual river leading to from his sheikhs and leading all the way to the prophet and from prophet to God, you know? So that's the concept. And that's why like I used to spend a lot of time and like became actually like one of his blue-eyed boys, because I used to kind of live near to his place also, and I used to like be there quite often. I became like the admin of the WhatsApp groups, you
Sorry, is this
know.
in Pakistan or
Yeah,
US?
it's in Pakistan,
In
Karachi.
Pakistan. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this all is happening in Karachi and it's in
Okay.
Pakistan.
Mhm.
So I became the admin of the groups, and I used to be the one who'd upload all these lectures or bayans on YouTube and other platforms, and share all the itineraries of the sheikh also. Like I kind of became his assistant in a way, one of the assistant, and
You took this
so
very
that's that. And
seriously.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
and and then like I obviously was doing my spiritual lessons also. So like the thing is like when you sit down for muraqabah, you're handed out like a book which contains all the names of your sheikhs, like of all these spiritual Sufi saints who were before your sheikh, who your sheikh is connected to, and who lead to the Abu Bakr and then to the Prophet. So you have to like recite that entire list, and then in the end say the root, and that's when you kind of like initiated into the muraqabah
And durood is when you
session
say peace and blessings on Muhammad sallallahu
on
alaihi
the
wasallam,
Prophet.
right?
Yeah,
Prophet,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I was gonna say
yeah.
this reminds me of my own previous religious sect or faith,
Mm-hmm.
where Ismailis
Mm-hmm.
used to be Ismaili, right? You know
Mm-hmm.
Ismailis.
Yeah, 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 I know, yeah, yeah.
And before I became Sunni, I mean, and
Yeah, yeah.
I grew up as Ismaili, and Ismailis in the holy dua they read, they call holy dua, which is 3 times a day. You read all the names of all the imams going up to
Mm-hmm.
Aga Khan. So you're
Mm-hmm.
reading the names just like that. So they have some
Yeah,
Sufi
yeah,
influence
yeah.
also. This is familiar. Interesting.
Exactly, exactly. You kind of like invoking their by the taking their name, you're invoking their spiritual essence and you know getting tuned and access to some special
Yeah.
river of spirituality.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's what it was like. And then I used to really sit down and do muraqabah. Like there used to be like a group muraqabah sessions with the sheikh, and then you were supposed to do it on your own time also. So I used to wake up in tahajjud and do that, and like after every prayer almost, and then
So
and
tahajjud, for people, sorry, just to interrupt, for people that don't know, tahajjud is waking up in the middle of the night at
mm,
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock,
yeah,
before the Fajr prayer. So Fajr prayer is a
yeah,
dawn prayer. Dawn prayer right now would be like, I don't know, 5 o'clock. So you would wake up before
mm,
that and you would pray
mm,
extra. I think I did this maybe once or twice in my whole life. This is
mm.
for like the
Oh,
very, very hardcore eager beavers
yeah, 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 yeah. I
that
was
want
doing
to
I
like,
was doing it for like more than a year, bro. Like I used to
wow.
go down to sleep like around 10 and wake up at 2 and then pull off these muraqabah like pray first and then do like a 1 hour, 2 hour muraqabah sessions, bro. And
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like now that I look back at it, it's
Yeah.
also like, how even science has kind of proven in a sense that, like meditation does help
Mm-hmm.
rewire your brain, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this was like meditation and it did help in that sense, like kind
Mm-hmm.
of like you do ground yourself and you do feel more positive.
Right,
I mean,
right.
that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there.
It gives
I
you,
can't
it
deny that.
almost connects you to something bigger than yourself, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I I,
Because
I
you kind of
find
like you're.
go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I find that I wouldn't be able to do that anymore, knowing that there's nothing, I don't feel like there's anything out there anymore. But I do think that you're right, that grounding yourself and being in the moment, and there's some benefits to that for
Yeah,
sure.
you like see, it's like when it's like your focus is also like a muscle, right? Like a muscle in your brain, sort of, you could say, because your brain is plastic, right? That there is
Yeah,
plasticity. So you can train when you're training your focus so much, so then you obviously tend to have more focus on other things in life too, right?
yeah,
So and obviously, like we know, like having good focus, great focus is something really beneficial for any kind of task that you're performing in life,
yep.
generally.
Totally.
And so yeah, that was that. And then like come 2019 August, like that's when I got married because obviously your half your deen is completed when you get married,
Yeah,
and but for us, it's only left to monogamy, monogamy. But
Monogamy,
for
yeah.
the Prophet, it meant like lots and lots of marriages. But like, yeah, anyways, for us, it was just one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I mean, I got married, and then like obviously, like at that time, since I was like a really hardcore mullah or religious, so my priority like was having a religious or a religious, a really good Muslim wife. And so in that aspect, like in that sense, I found like a perfect Muslim wife too, because she was an alima, like a religious scholar who had gone through like a 4-year, religious teaching program. And she also was a pediatrician, like a child specialist doctor. And so she was like a good, well-educated, smart, girl who was also very religious. And she used to do the face veiling, like the niqab also. So she was right up there, bro. And that's what it was. And then, we got married, and like for the both of us, like the religion was the most important part, and everything come later. So like before getting married, I had barely talked like 30 minutes with her, and that's all. And then we went into the marriage, because
Islamic
anyway,
way.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Islamic way, man. And
Yeah.
like people get shocked,
Yeah.
like over here, like people get shocked, like how could you get marry somebody just
Yeah.
knowing them for 30? Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's how it is.
Yeah.
And because what's more important is you doing the istikhara. Now, if anyone does
Mm-hmm.
not know what istikhara is basically like a kind of like a prayer that you pray to God, where you leave the decision onto God, and then the next day, like whatever feeling you have, if it's a positive feeling, then you go with it. If it's a negative feeling, so you feel like, no, I'm not gonna go
Yeah,
with it.
it's like a prayer for guidance, right?
For
Yeah.
guidance, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's that, and then like we were married, and both of us, like I used to go to pray to the mosque every day, and like she was also the kind who would always like she was I'd say even she was really religious. I mean, she still is. And yeah, but otherwise, like we were like a really good, nice, happy couple. And, my parents were happy. Everything was good. Like, and then like in 2023, and funnily enough, like the same date as it is today, 1st September, like our son was born. And, that's like after like 4 years into marriage. And, that was like a really one of the happiest moments of our lives. Like, anyone who's a parent can relate to it, and but the funny part is like, the first of 4 months or so, like, you don't get, those kind of like heavy emotional feelings with your kid. I mean, the mom tends to get more of that than the dad. But like once the kid starts, interacting with you, like speaking, saying words, laughing, and when he starts responding to you, that's when the father really gets, emotionally attached. You
Yeah.
you you just cannot ignore it, man. You can just feel that unconditional love flowing right through, and you cannot just block it out, bro. I mean, it's just so real. So yeah, that's that, and then that happened, and then like my wife used to be going to her like night calls at the hospital, like she was doing her residency, and I used to be taking care of my son all by myself for like 36 hours, 40 hours straight, every fourth day of the week. And that's really when like my bond with my son also became much, much
Increased.
more, yeah, it was much more, it was so deep. I mean, that I realize like how deep it was. Anyways, and so then, like after my son was born, like, how they say, like sometimes like when you have your first kid, then as a father or as a man, you tend to look at life through some, you
Differently, right?
know, yeah. And I guess that's what started happening to me also, because I like these things came into my mind, like, how am I going to raise my kid? Like, the things that I have to teach my kid, the values that I have to pass down to my kid, right? And, whatever, like maybe now that I'm looking back in retrospect, maybe those were some triggers also. But anyways, like, I
Triggers
started
for what? What do you mean?
triggers to like me doing deeper introspection about
Right.
the truths and realities of Islam.
Oh, okay. Yep.
because obviously, like if you raise a son or a kid, so if you're passing down everything of Islam and you're making them another brand ambassador for the Islamic cult, then you obviously need to be in complete agreement with the
Yeah,
agenda, right?
yeah,
So, but anyways, like I started skipping a Fajr here and there, and then that obviously had its own guilt trips, and then like obviously my wife also was kind of like getting annoyed, like why did you skip the prayer today and all that, so I have that constant guilt reminder from my wife coming too. So then I just like, I took up the Quran again just to like realign and calibrate myself. I was kind of going off the off the path, right?
yeah.
By skipping Fajr. So that's when I took up the Quran again. And I mean, this time, like whatever coincident or by Allah's will, I opened the Quran and like the first verse that popped up. No, I just randomly opened it, right? So like the first verse that popped up was the one that says like, Jews also believe that Ezra is the son of God, and the Christians believe that Christ is son of God, and all these are obviously they're both wrong. And I mean, I was like, hey, I know about the Christian thing, but what is this Jew thing, man? Never heard of that, you know? And so that led me to like kind of, research like what is this about? Did they really believe? Is there something like that? And at that time, like I kind of discounted it. I was like, okay, maybe there was some, Jewish tribe that got lost in time, and those guys maybe used to believe it. Not all the Jews. Although, like in the Quran, it is a general statement. It
The
says like
Jews.
Jews, the Jews, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah, man.
Christians,
So
the
yeah.
Jews. Yeah.
So obviously, like I mean, the creator who is intimately knows intimately well our language, our intellect.
Yeah.
How could he be? Anyway, but he generalizes. So I mean, I was willing to discount it and like, maybe those guys
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't
They
exist
Muslims,
anymore.
or even the Quran itself says he's Latif al-Khabir. He's
Yeah,
intimately knowledgeable, and even if
yeah.
like what do they say? Like a leaf falls, he knows about it. But
He has the knowledge, right?
apparently, he's making these like wide
Yeah,
sweeping generalizations without
yeah.
specificity, which are confusing. And the interesting thing is for that small period of time where there was, let's just argue, in theory, there was some Jews
Mhm.
that said this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah.
we don't know if they were trolling the prophet and they said this and he believed them. And then, well, maybe let's be generous.
But
Let's say,
you're
okay,
right. I agree. I agree. I agree.
yeah, but let's be generous. Let's say even not that. Let's just say there were Jews that believe this, even though I don't believe it. But let's just say
Oh, okay.
now the Quran puts this in stone for the rest of
Hmm.
humanity, for the rest of eternity.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
other than that small, like maybe 10 years or 20 years, the rest of the 1,000+ years are going to be confused. And
Right. And
only
all
like
these
it doesn't
other,
make, yeah, like if this is for all time, why add these like weird specific, and you mentioned Zoroastrianism, we can talk about that
yeah,
as well. That was another thing that's
yeah.
like,
I have my take on Lohe Mahfuz, bro. The
yeah.
preserved tablet. Yeah,
Tablets, yeah, yeah,
yeah, Lohe Mahfuz, right? Like,
yeah,
like how these, apparently, like the Quran and everything, it's just written down and it's just playing out as per what's been written down in the Lohe Mahfuz.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Anyways, we'll come to that. But so the thing is, like, yeah, and I mean, I was like, okay, man, I discount that part. I like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. This could
Allah
be
knows
just like
better.
you said, Allah
I
knows, right?
misunderstood. There's
But,
some
but
context.
what happened was like this, like led me into like a rabbit hole.
Hmm.
Now I could not, ignore anymore. I was like, okay, like if this is something, like what else, And then that just led me to looking for more kind of. But I made that decision at that point, like like now I'm gonna try and be neutral about it.
Oh,
Try and yeah, and try and read the Quran's translation from a neutral lens. Try and be as neutral as I can be as
objective.
unbiased as I can, be objective, right?
Yeah.
And like I was like if say if this is literally is the truth, the universal truth for all times and for everybody on this planet, right? So I mean, if I were not a Muslim, not born in a Muslim household, I
Mhm.
just want to like maybe consider that from the other person, like how would this text come off to them as a normal like you pick up a novel, you read it cover to cover. What do you make at the end, right? So I wanted to go at it like that. And then, like, I started reading. And one funny thing is also, like, in South Asia, for example, generally, like the Muslims in those areas, we are kind of like discouraged to read the translation by ourselves because we're told that, like, Quran has these kind of like heavy wisdoms which, you cannot relate to unless you have the religious knowledge. So that's why you're not supposed to read the translation yourself. You just, make all the sawab and the point scoring through just reading the Arabic and just keep repeating that shit. And so reading the translation is generally not encouraged unless you're reading it under a supervision of some religious scholar or someone. But
Yeah.
anyways, so I made
No,
that
this is
sin.
sorry, one more thing. This is something I noticed too with especially Desis. When you
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to
yeah.
talk to them about Islam, they always say, talk to the sheikh, talk to the
Yeah,
Molvi. Like, they don't want to engage with you. They've
exactly.
like outsourced it to somebody else, so they don't have to think about it and they just blindly follow. So if you try to like engage on a topic that this doesn't make sense, they'll be like, they think just because I don't know the answer, that doesn't mean it's wrong. Someone else knows and talk to this guy, and they don't care even, right?
Yeah, exactly. And their biggest fallback is like, dude, for 1400 or whatever many years, we have had the greatest religious scholars, and those guys are the most knowledgeable because they have take the perfect knowledge, which is Quran. And they don't need to know anything else if they know Quran and Hadith. So they are the most knowledgeable people in the world, and their intellect is like the most superior. So if they're saying that it is this way, so then it is this way. We don't need to think about it at
Exactly.
all.
Yeah. Yeah. And just before we continue, I need to remind everyone to please subscribe if you're new here. We're working hard on the channel, so really do appreciate it. Click below, and you can also click join now if you want to financially support the channel. All right, back to what you were saying.
So yeah, so that I was there, I went into a rabbit hole of exploration and reading stuff, and like I was always interested in history. I always used to read history and stuff, and mythology also, like like what these guys used to believe back in the day and all. But obviously, like I never took it in this way, but like now with this phase of exploration and research into Islam and religions and all, this time I went all in, like, and one more thing that I did was actually, I think, which really also helps, like, if anybody else wants to try this method, is that, I mean, if you're reading about, like, say, someone from the past, like a historical figure, right? So you tend to read it chronologically, right? Like, from the time they started their what they were born and then how their lives were, like you don't go like randomly, like how the Quran is arranged. Like the Quran is not arranged chronologically. It's like all random. And so obviously, like, if you want to know the events, like how things unfolded, what was what, so you're supposed to read it like chronologically. And this is also not encouraged. This is
Yeah, yeah.
again, this is one of the things that's not encouraged.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
say they
brother.
say like,
It's not randomly. It's the order that Gabriel alayhi salam told the Prophet to put it in. Actually, I do wonder what is the point. I don't know why this is the order that it was decided on. To be honest,
Bro, I'll tell
yeah,
you my take on it
okay,
because it's funny because they also bring abrogation, right? If
yeah,
somebody's not familiar with abrogation, like that's a heavy concept too.
yeah.
But anyway, so like so I think they arranged it in the sense in the end just to like work their abrogation in their favor. Because like see, the thing is, uh I mean, when you read it like chronologically, there is a website which helped me in that. So it's
Okay,
basically a Muslim website. So
yeah.
their purpose is not to, you know, lead you somewhere else, but like it helps. Anyway, so the thing is, like, if you go through the Quran, like chronologically, like when it started, the revelations apparently started in Makkah, right? So you can see like a clear pattern, like all these Meccan, like the chapters or surahs from the Makkah era, they are like, you know, God is like a really different character in that. Like he like he says like, believe me or else this hell upon you and this kind of torture, that kind of torture. And it's all about that. But later on in the Medinan era, things also like, like the when wars start happening and all that stuff. So, more rulings, more laws come into the story and stuff, and more things about marriage and all that stuff and everything, all those other kind of stuff creeps in. But before that, it is just like a really different kind of thing. And sometimes like you can even notice all the forced rhythmic, structure being forced in, into the
Yeah.
verses just to make it rhyme,
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
make it
Like,
rhythmic.
yeah, some of the words are even made up, apparently. Some of
Yeah.
the Arabic words are not
And
actually Arabic words. They're like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're made up in order to make it rhyme.
Yeah, so I mean, it this also helped me, like, because in that sense, like, although there is no agreement on like the exact chronology, like which surah came at
Yeah,
which time exactly,
yeah,
and but still, whatever, like the majority consensus. So that's how I read it, and
yeah.
that also helped me like see how like the character
The
of God is
evolution.
developing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the evolution of God, like
yeah,
God is literally developing, man.
yeah,
Like his, like it's funny, like okay, let's talk about abrogation for a moment. Like okay, so abrogation basically means that God apparently is the one who's allowed abrogation, and which is that God can cancel out his own word, coming up with something better or yeah, same. And God apparently says that
we're the
himself.
same. I know that's the
Yeah, yeah,
funniest
yeah,
part. The
yeah.
funniest part of the abrogation surah or the verse is Allah doesn't make you forget or replace with something better or equal.
Yeah.
It's like what?
It was equal, so
Okay.
why the requirement, man? But and on the other hand, God also says that God never contradicts himself. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like it's
Yeah.
either that do you sometimes contradict or you never do. But
I
yeah, and
know.
then
Yeah.
like and then the concept is like whichever like chapter or surah came like the latest in the Prophet's life, so that ruling overrides any ruling that came before it. But the but the complex and confusing part is like, dude, when there is no consensus on which surah came when, so how can you guys be sure about which one is abrogating which one? I mean,
Yeah.
really, it's just all like
There's a whole
hogwash,
framework
man. It's
of
all
rules.
hogwash.
Sorry
Yeah.
for interrupting. Yeah, there's a whole framework of rules they created in order to reconcile the
Mhm.
contradictions between the Quran and the Hadith and this one and the Quran and the Quran, the
Exactly.
Hadith and the Hadith.
Exactly.
This Hadith
Exactly.
contradicts this Hadith. So does this one come before? Does this one come after? Is this one authentic? Is this one not authentic? The Quran, this one comes before this one. Am I reinterpreting it wrong? Like you're
Mhm.
right, it's a big mess. Is it a different way to interpret? Some Muslims don't even believe in abrogation. It's like
Yeah.
it's all over the place, right?
But okay, if they don't believe in abrogation, then
Yeah,
they're screwed in the sense that then you'll have to like, there's so much goes out the window then,
that's true.
It's
That's
it's
true.
it's it's funny because like
Yeah,
even like for example fasting.
yeah,
First fasting was not necessary. Like first it was
yeah,
like 24-hour fast, then it
yeah.
was reduced down,
Yes.
and then it became necessary. And then same is for like alcohol and same is for like, interest and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like things were all fine and then later God came up with something better or equal.
Every time I hear that, I laugh.
While not contradicting himself. I mean, how
Yeah,
is that possible, man? Like,
yeah,
what kind of mental gymnastics do you expect us to make, man? And
yeah,
and, and the funny thing is, I mean, I don't blame the general masses of the Muslims because they never look into all this. Like, they do not bother at all because for them it's just enough that, we are the flag bearers of the ultimate eternal truth, and we don't need to even check it, man. It's confirmed by 1400 years of our religious highest level of scholars and all that. So that's what it is, and they never bother checking. Anyway, so this is one like really big part of the thing that really also made me doubt, like I mean, how can because I did not know about abrogation before, you
yeah.
know. It's called nux or nusk, I think.
Hmm.
Anyway, so this was one thing that really like screwed with my image of a creator God. Like, how
Yeah.
can be the most infinite, most wise creator of the universe God be contradicting himself while at the same time saying that this it comes from Lohe Mahfuz, which is like the
Preserved
preserved tablet
tablets. Yeah.
written before time and before
Yeah.
even anything, and then you were already contradicting yourself in those tablets too, brother. Like, what's going on?
I want to jump in there because I actually had a problem with this too, and I want to talk about this a little bit more. The Lohul Mahfud, I actually got very confused about this too because I was like thinking the
Yeah.
Quran mentions things that happen in the life of Muhammad.
Hmm.
like for example the Battle of Badr. But
Hmm.
apparently this is in the Lahul Mahfud. That it's just like it's weird. And then there's so many examples from the life of Muhammad where, for example, you gave some of them. In Ramadan, it used to be that sex was forbidden, and then
Hmm.
Allah saw the companions were struggling, so he's like, okay, fine, you can have sex in the night with your wife, right? It's like,
And which is not a
bruh,
contradiction.
you
No.
didn't figure that out in the beginning, like that wasn't gonna work. Then there's another example. There's actually a really damning, massive, huge, gigantic problem with this hadith. It's actually caused one of my Muslim friends to have major doubts. There's a hadith that says, that explains the revelation of one of the verses. And the verse is in the Quran where it says that, not prohibited to fight. I'm just paraphrasing, but basically, not equal are those that go out and fight and die, and those that stay behind and, like whatever, they do stuff at home, right? Like they're not equal. The ones that fight
Mm.
and die in jihad are better than the ones that stay behind.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Now, there's a blind man, the same blind man that Muhammad turned away from, right? They was sitting there. This is the hadith is explaining. And he's like, but not the lame and the people that are like, like disabled, not the disabled, right? Like, what about us?
Hmm.
Like, I'm not, it's not my fault I can't go fight. And Muhammad, I mean, Allah said, and not the blind. Bro added that after the man suggested it. He's taking suggestions from the people. Like, it's
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
so crazy that you can read this and you're still Muslim and you can believe that, like,
Mm.
literally God is taking suggestions from people around him and changing this. It's
Oh,
so insane
yeah,
to
which reminds
believe
me of
that
one
you
of
can read this, but
yeah.
like,
So,
this, you go in this rabbit holes of like cognitive dissonance where you're like,
mm,
my Muslim friend was like, well, God knew he was going to ask. Like, it's just like, it gets crazy. It's like, just
yeah,
like,
even
look at
even
their face value. He's
even
adding things
even
based
like
on,
Caliph Umar, bro, he gets the
yeah,
special recognition that thrice God has agreed with him and God has taken his recommendation and incorporated it.
Omar, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with the
Right.
hijab, the
Yeah.
whatever, there was a few other ones,
I don't know, there are
not
three. There are
praying.
three. One of them is hijab also. Yeah,
Yeah,
hijab for like the Prophet's wives, and
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
really
Yeah, the
the
funny thing is,
poor
what do you call it? Shias say that
Solia, Sauda.
Saudi, yeah. I was gonna say that
Uh,
Shias don't they don't agree with that. They're like, no, he
yeah.
didn't. Yeah, they're like,
And
this is made
like
up.
one more thing that I realized, like, generally, like when you're doing like a critical historical analysis of a narrative of history, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of like tend to give more weight to the story of the, oppressed, like the people who are oppressed or persecuted, right? And in this case, it's the Shias, man. Like the Shias get persecuted throughout the Islamic history, so you gotta give some weight to them, man. Like, like what they're saying.
It's worth
I
looking
mean,
at
and
both
it
sides for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and even like from all these hadiths in Bukhari and all these people, like you can clearly see the politics going on, man. Like, I mean, for example, like there is even the hadith where the Prophet's daughter Fatma, she gets denied her inheritance, and then she is clearly mentioned that she was not on talking terms with the Caliph Abu Bakr and Umar because of
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
and then like she mysteriously 6 months later she dies, and nobody knows where and how she dies according to the
Yeah.
Sunni hadith corpus. But that's crazy, man.
Yeah. And
So
then not
I
only
w-
that, they claimed, this is where it gets weird. They claimed that there's a hadith that the Prophet said his family does not
Mm,
inherit, and she didn't know this.
yeah, and
So
wow,
like
and
his
then she
own
still has the
daughter
guts
didn't know
saying,
this? Like, how
yeah,
is that possible? He never told his daughter, I'm not leaving you anything?
and
Like,
okay, and okay, if and even if this was there, like okay, later on she had this altercation with you guys, and
yeah.
somebody could have gone and told her like, hey sister, like this is what your dad said, and so she would have obviously come back and reconciled with them, like okay, I was wrong,
Okay.
you were right,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even
I'm gonna, yeah, go ahead.
Mhm.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
so
go ahead.
even like this with the prophet's apparently favorite child bride Aisha, she also like is like so political, like in her hadiths, like she like there's this hadith where she like she's narrating the story where like the prophet was like on his deathbed or some sorts, and like two men, and she takes the name of one man who was like like the prophet had his arms around their like they were carrying him, and the other man, like she does not take the name of. And turns out like that man, somebody else narrates later that that man was Hazrat Ali. So like she has this beef with like you can clearly see this political camp, man. Like there's this political camp of Abu Bakr and all those guys, and then there's this political camp of Ali and all those guys. And Aisha obviously is in the camp of these guys, of Abu Bakr and all. So you can clearly see all the politics going on. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy, you know. And like the Sunnis, for example, they just they just don't want to see it. They deny all this, and you know. Anyways, we're going off
So
on another tangent. We were like, I
yeah, yeah.
guess.
Well, why don't we take a quick pause? I just saw your message, and I will talk
Oh,
about the
okay,
channel. Yeah,
okay,
so
okay, okay.
maybe I'll
All
just
right, all
spend a
right.
minute. Okay, I'm just gonna pause for 1 second here and tell you guys all about the channel. If you're new here, please do subscribe. We're trying to do a lot more on here, and I hope you're enjoying the story with Jay. He is truly an inspiring individual, and we didn't get to the part where he has now lost his family because of Islam. So that's going to come. We're going to talk about the true horrors of how bad this gets, and the consequences of believing or disbelieving, and how it can completely ruin your family. So I we want to get to that. That's coming up next. So again, if you're new here, thumbs up the channel if you're enjoying it. If you'd like to join the Patreon, we love the support. We really do appreciate it. But today we're here to talk about Jay and what he's going through, and we're gonna get into a little bit of personal details about his family situation and the struggles that he's going through. We spoke ahead of time, and I was truly touched by what he's going through because I can relate to it pretty heavily. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But yeah, if you I hope you're enjoying the show. There's definitely a lot of like crazy stuff happening right now that we're talking about. Mistakes galore in the Quran. Um, you know, all all over the place. Okay, so we're back. All right, so let's continue. So where were we?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we were like off, went off another tangent of the politics and the Hadith
Yeah,
corpus,
yeah,
which is there. Like, if anybody's interested, they can do their own analysis, man. Like, all you need is like having a critical, neutral lens and be
yes,
critical about it. Anyways, so that's that. Like, about my own story. Then we had our son, and then I used to be like my wife and me. We like, I mean, we never had a bad relationship. Like, we were always like really good friends first because I am the kind of person also who is really generally very calm and friendly, and like, I'm not the aggressive kind of person. Like, well, my wife was a like ex-wife, I should say, was a little aggressive and all, but I was always one who's used to be calm, and like, and that's how we worked. Like our relationship grew, and we were really, and like with our coming of our son, everything was even more, better and happy. And so but with me now doing all this research on whenever I had my spare time. So, I mean, because I used to take my ex-wife more of as a friend than a wife, right? And she was my life partner. So when I started finding some crazies in Islam, so I mean, I had no other choice. Like in my mind, I had no, kind of hesitation to share it with my wife because I was like, she's my life partner. We're trying to build a life together, have a shared vision for our kid, our own worldviews, our values and stuff, So I used to go to her with anything crazy that I used to find, and then she used to outright reject and not even like bother looking at it, and like she was like zero engagement on that, and that kind of used to hurt me, and I used to keep pushing, like, hey man, like, I mean, I'm not crazy over here. This is something, it's written right there for you to see. I mean, what's wrong? I mean, we can both, like, be mature adults and look at the thing with, as normal people, not like, go crazy and have arguments and stuff. I mean, it's just like a normal discourse, man. Like, we can
yeah.
just sit
I
down
mean,
and engage with the content.
This is the right
And
thing to do, which is that you
right.
are you wish good for this person.
Hmm.
That's your life partner, your friend, and you want to share with them the things that you're seeing because you're seeing some problems and you want to explore it with someone else that you care about, right? That's the right thing to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
And in her case, like she was also an alima, right? Like somebody who has gone through the Hadith corpus and stuff, and has more of a grasp on Arabic. Also, they're also taught Arabic, the Quranic Arabic and stuff. So obviously, but then like for her, it was like a no-go zone. I mean, she did not want to engage at all anything that has to do with outing Islam's narrative. She did not want to like go with it, and like she was not interested at all. And every time like she used to shut off and like build like a huge defensive wall when I used to bring up this topic. And then slowly, gradually, like with time, like this started becoming like the big, huge white elephant in the room, right? Because we were living as a normal couple, as friends, and as a husband and wife, and a mother and father. But this was always like in the room, like where she knew that I am researching into some things that, from her worldview, I'm not supposed to be researching into. And then I am, on the other hand, trying to make her indulge in that too, which is kind of like how do you say, like the shaitan or the Satan is trying to get her through me while he is already getting me. He, he's already gotten me, and this is what's going on. And but like all I was trying to appeal to her common sense and her logic. I mean, but ultimately, I guess I failed. But I mean, but
I
and
mean,
that
yeah.
was the beginning of the end for me, in a sense
Yeah.
that like because now, like many people, they say like men are not supposed to share these kind of things. Like Muslim men are not supposed to share these kind of things with their wives. Like they could be out there partying and doing every kind of vice,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're not supposed to share that with your wife, bro.
Mm.
But I mean, it was like, this is like something like if you're like in seeking the truth, right? You're
Yeah.
in search of the truth, and so this is like the only logical conclusion. Like, you are gonna do that because if you're honest to yourself, if you're true to yourself, and you see your partner also trying to strive for truth, right? Or at least that's what they claim.
Yeah.
So then you see something as true, then you obviously will share it with them, and that's what I did. And but it was like a difficult period, a really difficult period in that sense. Like whenever the topic of religion used to come up, there used to be an argument, and I always used to be trying to diffuse it. Like, I was like, this is not an argument. This is
Hmm.
just a normal discussion.
Yeah.
As two normal grown-up adults, we can discuss something, man. Like we can discuss the theory of gravity and its theory of evolution, and
Yeah.
we can discuss this too. I mean,
Yeah.
why do you
Mm.
have to get all riled up
Yeah.
whenever we're discussing Islam? But I guess for her, this was I'm like just the default. Like anything to do with Islam, she used to get riled up, like really, and we could not discuss anything. I mean, this is the and then like earlier on, like she used to be busy, but then later on, when she started getting more free time, so she used to be like watching these other stuff, like even TV dramas, like TV shows and all. And I used to like really get pissed off. I said, you have the time to watch all this, but you don't have the time to sit with me and
Yeah.
yeah, I used to like ask her repeatedly, like, come on, you have the time to do that. Like, let's just sit down, give me an hour or 2 hours, and then we can discuss this and watch this video together, or
Yeah.
go through this content together, and then you give me your opinion, I'll give you
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
opinion, and then let's see, let's
Yeah.
come to a
She's a
conclusion.
scholar, right? Like she's a
Right.
alima.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and then let's so that we can, get done with this topic and, come to a conclusion and build a better future.
Yeah.
That's what my point of view was. But it never worked out, and she never engaged. And till today, it's like, okay, now we're into divorce, and but she still, because I mean, the kind of steps that she has taken, which has impacted me and everyone else, and so the person who did not deserve any of this and who gets the most impacted is our son, is my son. And I mean, unfortunately, he's only 2 years old and it's his birthday today,
Yeah.
and I can't be there with him.
Yeah.
And it's just like so heartbreaking for me. I mean, from what it was to what it is now, and just that, I mean, it's something that just I never knew. I mean, eh, I could cry on something. Like I used to always think that I have a heart of stone. I'm like really emotionless, but this is something. If I just see his picture, I hear his voice, I see his video, tears just automatically start rolling down my face now. I can't even like no matter how much I tell myself it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. No, but still, it's just like so automatic.
Yeah. You know what? It's
And
not okay. It's actually not
yeah,
okay. And
yeah.
it's okay. I mean, it's okay that you're feeling this way. You shouldn't judge yourself. This
Mm,
is perfectly valid to feel hurt because he's a part of you, right? Like, and this is
mm,
a very, very strong bond that you have, you know. You really care about him. That's what shows, right? It shows that you care
yeah.
about him. You want good for him. You want good for your now former wife. But unfortunately, she was too closed off to really consider, and she was too is too identified with Islam, and so her ego was talking instead of actually
Mm.
trying to be rational. There was no rationality because her ego was blocking
No,
you.
I'd say more than ego, it was the fear.
Mm,
See, because like when you dare to question, you are like kind of, you trump your fears when you dare to
that's
question.
true.
So like it was fear, like the fear that she's gonna lose her faith, and with faith, she's gonna lose all the comforts and the social, the whole like because how it is for me now, like because of me daring to question everything, like the entire world that I was built upon, everything has gone back to zero. And like it's like the rug being pulled under your feet, like all of a sudden, and you realize like you're just now standing on nothing.
Yeah, let's talk
And
about let's sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and so that's what happened. And like like I mean, then later on, like this, like that phase started around like May, March, April, May 2024, when I started like sharing things with my wife to, about all these things in Islam, which didn't make sense. And that's when the phase started. But 6 months down the lane, then because she used to shut off completely, and she was like, I don't want to hear all this, and I don't want to engage in all this. And that's when I had to like stop talking about it. But like what happened, like, because obviously we were not addressing the elephant in the room, right? So we slowly, gradually we started drifting away. Like our relationship started getting impacted because of it. No matter how much we would try to be like good, whatever, but this thing was in the background. And then like she made me talk to her religious scholars and all, and I had my discussions like sometimes 4 hour long, 3 hour, 4 hour long discussions with them. But in the end, like their conclusion was also like, faith is something that is based on, it's there's no evidence for faith. Faith is supposed to be like blind in that sense.
But,
Like you cannot see angels, but you're supposed to have faith in angels.
but I thought
You
it's supposed to be based on logic and evidence, right?
it's like two sides of the same coin for them.
Yeah, I know. You know
Means the
what?
same.
I would say, you know what? It never works. Every time I've
Yeah,
been told, talk to some sheikh, they don't even know this stuff. They never even
yeah,
heard of these things that we're talking about because they don't
yeah,
study these doubts. And there's a
yeah.
special class of people online that study these things, which is like Hamza Soetis and Subu, whatever, these people that are involved in modern dawah. But the 99% of sheikhs, imams, Molvis, they don't know shit. You go to them and they'll just look at you like, bruh, like you just believe. That's all they
Yeah,
can
but
say,
even
right?
even for guys like Hamza Torres and all, like it still ends up as cherry picking, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah. I
cannot.
mean, what I mean is they at least know about these topics and they
Yeah,
try to address them. But these guys, they don't know, for example, the Galenic, Greek medicine is what
yeah,
influenced
yeah, yeah.
Muhammad. They never even heard of this.
Exactly,
They don't know
exactly.
that, for example, like the modern arguments that you brought up, for example, Dul Qarnayn. Well, we didn't even talk about Dul Qarnayn, but like all of these
Yeah,
things you
yeah,
mentioned, we discussed, or you have in your notes. they've never heard of these things causing issues. So when you bring them up, they're like, "Bro, like I don't know what
Hmm.
to say." Like,
Yeah, like I
but
mean,
yeah,
one of those funny things. Like I remember when growing up in like Desi culture or whatever, when you were a kid, you get to hear about like like in Islam, like men can have concubines, as
yeah,
many concubines as they can get.
yes,
And and you're like, oh, nice man, that would have been a nice to have. And why don't we have it now? And who needs to marry? I
yeah,
mean, we just joke about it. We
yeah,
don't really like kind of empathize and try and like, like
yeah,
how
yeah,
you go into someone else's shoes and
right.
think about the morals, like how it's impacting them or
Yeah,
affecting
like the
them,
woman
right?
that's a slave. How does she feel about
Exactly.
this? Like being
Like
taken
the
as a
woman
slave,
who was
right?
actually a concubine and who was like, for example, she was a Jew who was
Yeah,
believing in the monotheistic version of whatever religion was given down to
yeah, yeah,
her, but
yeah.
but the Muslims conquered that place, and then now she's just become a
Object.
concubine for some,
Yeah,
yeah, or another apparently believer in the same God, but
yeah,
an updated version of it,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
just get
Updated
you
version.
get wrecked, even if you have kids and married.
Yeah,
But God abrogated that thing, and now God has allowed this also. So even
but yeah,
married slaves can get, or used as concubines by the believing Muslims.
yeah,
So stuff like that, like later on in your adult life, you tend to really think about the real morality around this. Like really, I mean, how could a God or a person who claims to have the perfect morals allow all this? I mean, it's not possible, man. Like either it was man-made or or the other thing is like you'll have to accept like our God is just like that, bro. God is like that. I mean, but I
yeah,
for one do not want to believe in a God who's like that, you know?
yeah.
Like,
So going back to what you were saying, you were trying to, engage with her out of respect for her. She's like, okay, talk to this guy. You talk to this guy for 4 hours. Nothing came out of it.
nothing came out of it. And then, ultimately it wasn't convincing and so I had to tell her in the end, like, around like December, end of December, she also engaged, she told my sister also, like my sister was also religious. So now my sister knows and my wife knows that my conclusion is that Islam and Christianity, Judaism, whatever, they're all man-made. And I used to like tell them like, I mean, I respect those guys. Like really, I have the utmost respect for them for the fact that they were good philosophers of their time, and Islam is a product of its time. And they did really well. Like even Prophet Muhammad did really well for his, time, and he gave them good rules, but that's not relevant in our day and age now. Like,
Yeah,
we, for example, do not practice polygamy.
yeah,
We do not practice like, slavery or sex with slaves, for example. And, so we can, or child marriage for that matter, so we can accept that and not be hypocrites, and then we don't need to be ambassadors for this, and defend the Prophet or Islam
child marriage,
everywhere. Yeah,
whatever.
because like if you are saying that you're a hardcore true devout Muslim, so then you are duty bound to defend all this, stuff as the eternal truth and the most
Yeah.
wise thing ever.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes,
but
yeah.
in reality, like I'd say 85-90% of the Muslims in today's world, they do not accept this, and they do
Yeah,
say that this all is wrong. But at the same time, these guys they have to just defend whatever. If you bring it up with them, like this is what your prophet did, they just have to defend it, and they're like, even though in their heart they don't agree with it, but they have to defend it. And it's like a poor, I don't know, poor them.
yeah,
I mean, so that's what my point with my wife was, and I didn't even want her to involve my sister in it, but like then she just told my sister because she was also really religious, and then fast forward, we had our like trip planned to the U.S. So her parents, they are U.S. citizens, and her siblings they also live in the U.S. and are citizens over here. So we had a trip planned to the U.S. in May, and we came here, in May, and we were living at my in-laws' house. And like a month passed over there, but after a month, my wife she had some alone time with her, like to herself, like when I went to California to visit a friend. And that's when she decided that this cannot go on and then that we need to separate and her nikah is not halal anymore. And she was like, she was giving me some time so that I can come back to Islam and become a believer again. But like now that I have not, become a believer, so now her nikah becomes nullified and she'll have to separate. And that's
And
when
just just so people know, sorry, nikah means the
oh, yeah,
marriage is
marriage,
now
marriage.
annulled. So basically, in
Yeah.
Islam, if you're a woman and your husband leaves Islam, there's different opinions, but basically your marriage is either this is like you can have a period of time to try to fix it, but usually eventually it ends and it's over, and she's
Mm,
instantly or very soon to be divorced, and she can no longer sleep with you, be around you, be
e-
alone with you.
exactly.
You're not a husband anymore. You have no rights over her.
Exactly, and one nuance is also that which I find funny, which is that like women, like Muslim women, they can only marry be a Muslim men, but
Yes,
Muslim men on the other hand can marry Christians and Jews too, man. So it's all for men. That's why it is man-made for men. You
mm,
know, that's
makes
like a
sense.
perfect
Makes sense.
description.
Yep.
And so, anyways, because she had given me time, according to her, enough time that I come back to Islam, but I did not. And then that's what led her to take these huge decisions, which have really, I mean, I have never been taken such a low point. I never even knew like these kind of lows exist and can exist in someone's life. I mean, you
Yeah.
only hear stories, but like once you go through it, then it's like a really different thing.
It's traumatic.
It's traumatic as
Yeah.
hell because now with this like because my intention was never my intention was like my wife is gonna obviously like she's gonna come to the same conclusion or similar conclusion if not the same page, but she's gonna soften up her stances on religion and she's gonna find out like it's not really all that eternally true. Like there are holes in the narrative and
Yeah.
things do like sometimes not make sense, and then we as humans have evolved and have done better than the supposedly perfect ideal morals of God and his prophet. So obviously, like if we've done better, if we've evolved in that sense, so that makes that means that this is really not the eternal universal truth that we've been told. And we can like my point with her used to be like, we can take all the good things from Islam and then similarly we can take all the good things from other cultures too and like, and remove the bad things, the bad influences, and then that's how we can lead a good life. Try, and obviously I don't have all the answers, but like we together as partners can come up with something better. So I mean, it's not all on me, but you as my partner can help me, and we both can mutually decide on a better future and better morals and values that we need to adopt. And but so then I was just like randomly asked to move out of her house and figure my own living situation. And at that point, like this was in Houston, Texas. So I did not know anyone in Houston, Texas besides my in-laws and her
Hmm.
family, right? So I didn't know anyone. And her plan was like, once I move out, she's gonna tell her, and until that point at least, like she had told her, like her brother, my brother-in-law and her sister, but she had not told her parents. And my parents obviously did not know. And so I obviously I really begged her that, no matter what, please do not tell my parents. And like, try and somehow convince your parents to not tell my parents too, because if they find out, then, those guys are like they're old now and they're in that age where like this is gonna be like such a huge shock
Traumatic.
for them. It's so gonna be so traumatic for them
Yeah.
that, because now like my father, like he never had a beard. Like he didn't used to go to the mosque to pray and all. He used to pray at home all his five prayers. But now in like when he's come into like later, like after like 65, 68, like in his 70s, so now he goes to the mosque for every prayer. He's grown a long beard. Now he shaves his mustache and everything. And my mom, she's also goes through Quran classes and stuff. So now they've really become more religious, like ultra religious in this, stage of their life. And for them to find out that their son is no longer a Muslim and like, it's just like it's such a huge heartbreak, so traumatic for them. I never wanted that to happen, but
Yeah, and it should be your choice to tell them,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But um, as bad these things just spiral out of my control, man. I don't have any. It just spiraled out, and like now my ex-wife, she told her parents and everyone, and then later on, like my parents also find out, and now, like I have been completely like
Cut off.
like totally like I was able to call my parents after all this had happened, like 1 month later, and those guys were crying and I was crying, and all I could do was just like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. That's all that could come out from my mouth, right? Nothing else I could say because they were like, dear God, please make our son's heart turn towards you. Please fill your light, your nur in his heart. And I mean, it's like I was speechless. All I could say was I'm sorry. It's because they're at that point where you cannot have a debate with them or convince them to change their or like reason with them
There's
like
no
why
point,
you
right?
think, yeah, there's no
Yeah.
point. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's I mean, I never like I was such a son, like one of like their favorite son, right? I was the youngest. I was like really, I used to live with them. I used to have dinner with them every day, like on like when there was a holiday, I used to have breakfast with them, lunch with them, dinner with them, and I was like a source of joy for them because even my kid, like their grandson, he used to be with them, and they've been robbed of all that because
Yeah.
of in their kind of point of view, their worldview, it's all because of me. And obviously, like how it goes, like it's also not because of me, it's because the devil has got to me. And I'm under the influence of the devil. And it's as if like we have no logic, we have no brains of our own. Our intellect does not matter at all. It's all just either the devil or the God. We are just
Yeah.
like some puppets getting played all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
So
And
unfortunately, she told your family. I mean,
yeah.
they told your family. Now you have two problems. You have to deal with this whole divorce. You have to deal with custody. You have to deal with being in a country where you hardly know anybody. You have to
Mhm.
deal with now y- rectifying your relationship with your parents. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and add on top to that, obviously I lost my job also where I was working because I've not been, I was supposed to go back and I haven't been able to because my son is here, my wife is here, and I cannot just abandon all that.
Yeah.
And now with the added stigma of me being an apostate because my ex-wife says that she is going to write the thing, like the reason, because like how it works in the Hanafi Sunni Islamic thing is like, the wife, if she wants divorce, so she has to file for something called khula.
Mhm.
So, which is, so in that she has to state a reason
Yeah.
that, like, because the thing is, like, no matter how much they claim, like, women rights and all in Islam, like, the real fact on the ground is, like, women cannot take divorce from a man. Only the
Yeah.
man is allowed to give divorce.
Yeah.
So in the situation that she can only take hula, which is that she has to have a very, very strong reason that, why she wants to divorce. And for her, that reason is that now I am an apostate and I'm not a Muslim anymore, and which makes her her marriage invalid,
Hmm.
not halal anymore. So that is reason enough. And she says that you were always a great husband, you were always a great father. But just this fact alone renders our marriage invalid, and and that is what she's going to write in the government records. So, like, once it is official in Pakistan in their government records, so then I become like an easy target for any kind of mob violence or vigilante justice because, now it's official that I am someone who rejects their prophet. Man, by rejection, that means that your prophet was a liar. or was a mere philosopher and a politician, and he was not this holy divine figure like you guys claim, which is blasphemy. And in Pakistan, like blasphemy leads to
Oh,
one,
yeah.
getting life imprisonment, and in the prison also people can kill you, and then they are celebrated as like, they did the right thing because God is happy that you killed someone who
Yeah.
did blasphemy. That's the reality in that country. And obviously, like this was never like something that was supposed to happen in this way, right? Like I never wanted it to come out, but like all the events, they've unfolded in such a manner that it just spiraled out of control. And now that's how it is. And the worst part is that, through all this, my son, my baby, he is gonna suffer. He's gonna suffer the most because like the cult of Islam, or the specific cult within the cult, which is the Hanafi Sunni version of Islam, which we were following. So in that cult, like the ruling is, that so the son is supposed to, if it's a son, after like 7 years of when he reaches 7 years of age, so he's supposed to be given custody back to the father if the father is Muslim. But if the father is not Muslim, so then he is entirely, completely cut out of from the picture. He's got zero rights over the kid. He's got zero custody, and the son is only like, a property of the cult. It's just like if you're a Muslim couple and you have a kid, so that's just like a plus one to the strength of the cult. You know?
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. I never thought of it
Yeah,
like that. Like it's like you become ownership of the cult and the family doesn't
yeah,
matter. I mean, you basically
exactly.
lose your son because and it's same thing with inheritance. If your child leaves Islam, they don't inherit from you.
Yeah, and the only thing is like your son's last name is going to be your last name, your name. You're going to inherit that. But if you're an apostate, if you leave Islam, so you have zero custody rights, you have zero, like nothing at all. I mean, you're completely cut off from their lives, and you're not supposed to visit them because you can influence them because of your non-beliefs, and that risks, them being a Muslim. So, but the most important thing is that they need to stay a Muslim.
Yeah.
Although, like the religion of your kid is decided from your father, but in this case,
Not in
it
this
just
case.
gets not in this case.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just crazy. And then, like, now I realized like a few things. Like my ex, she was taking some decisions for our kid, and like she never informed me. And like when I found this out, and I was like, oh, okay. So she's getting her justifications direct from the word of God or the laws of God, which is why she did not like bother asking me or anything. And she's
Yeah.
just taking decisions all by herself because she's not supposed to. I mean, she can even make him leave this country, go to another country without even asking me for any kind of permission or my consent, which is like so screwed up. I mean, it's just like Islam does not care about the father, or the father's bond, or his like the child's emotional care and needs of a loving father and his
Whi-
presence, and not at all.
Which is why you do need to take legal action in order to find, like, basically protect your rights because you are in the US right now. And now we can get into that a little bit more. But
Yeah,
without this, she can do whatever she wants, right? And if in
yeah,
Pakistan, she can do whatever she wants, but you have some sort of power here in the West because the West doesn't give a shit if you left Islam. I mean, you have a
yeah,
right as a
exactly,
father,
exactly, exactly,
which is why the
exactly.
West is superior. They don't, it's not about your identity, it's about your relationship and your
The
biological parent. You
humanity,
have
man. It's
rights.
about yeah,
Yeah.
it's about the humanity, the human thing, man. It's not about like what your belief is.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, so like you're right. Like if she takes him to Pakistan, and like in Pakistan, I have zero leverage. Although still, like the ruling is that like when he reaches the age of 7, and if I am an apostate, then the custody gets transferred to my father, like the kid's grandfather. And if the grandfather is Muslim and stable, he stays with them. And if they're not alive, then it goes to my brother. And but still, it's the custody does not stay with the mother. which is another surprise for people who don't know about this stuff. But yeah, that's how and anybody who claims to be a devout Muslim who believes that all these laws are divine and perfect by God, so then they better follow all this, man, and they should not go to the court. They should like just directly hand over the son when they reach, or the
Yeah,
daughter when they
yeah,
reach those specified ages to that other person. Your
yeah,
emotions don't matter.
yeah,
It's the law. Anyways, so I mean, even things like, like I like whenever I video call my son, I'm like specifically I was told by my wife that ex-wife that, you cannot talk about religion or any kind of that thing upon their to our kid. You are not allowed at all. You cannot influence him on religion at all. And just because I have no leverage, so I obviously agreed to that.
yeah. I think that's
Although,
fine. Like it's something that you have to work with, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
something that I will have to work with for now. But it also, like in the human sense, it does not make sense.
No, of course not.
It,
Yeah.
I mean,
It feels wrong
it,
for
it,
sure.
it completely like
Yeah.
it's like a betrayal, man. Like so, but like at the moment, the biggest betrayal is me just daring to doubt, and that leading me to question Islam and ultimately stepping out with my own conclusions, which any sane person, I that's my claim. Any sane person who tries to, adopt a neutral lens and
Objective.
unbiased lens, yeah, an objective lens to reading all the, evidence that is out there for Islam's truth, and they will come to a conclusion that okay, this does not make sense. Like maybe you want to hinge on to, like you still want to accept in the concept of God. That's okay, that's fine. But these characters and whatever they taught, like you can see all the wisdom in it, but it's not the divine ultimate truth. Because like if the claim is like it's 100% true and 100% perfect, so like even if there is like a 1%, 2%, 10% distortion or something that's wrong, then the whole claim just falls. I mean, then it's not 100% perfect, man.
Yeah, of course.
And then, things you gotta think better for yourself. And, coming back to one thing I missed discussing about the Sufi thing, which was, uh, so that like the council of elders that I mentioned, so there are basically these Sufi levels, these Sufi supreme saints or sages, if you want to say. So there's like one called a Qutub. So the Qutub is basically like he's like at any point in time like the spiritual access point through which you can reach all these other spiritual realms, if you want to say, because there are these spiritual, yeah, and these spiritual sages and all, they have these capabilities to like fly and uh, yeah, go into other dimensions and affect the real life through the spiritual life, and and so then there are these others like there's this there are these Abzals and Mujaddids and these other characters like it's like a whole hierarchy, man. Like it's really crazy, like the mythology that is going on in this cult within a cult. It's crazy.
Mm.
And it's like really once you go deep into it, then you kind of like are glued, man, because like you kind of tend to believe that, so I am also gonna be able to achieve all these superpowers where I'm gonna be also
Mm.
flying in spiritual dimensions and
Yeah.
get access to this hidden knowledge, you know, and
So
that's
going
crazy.
back to, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, going back to your family situation, can we talk about, um, first of all, this is very hard, to hear, and I'm very sorry you're going through all this, and this is very difficult, and you're not alone. There's so many, it's just yesterday we were doing a video, my wife and I, and I mentioned, I know so many people that are this exact situation as you. And I wasn't even thinking of you at the time because I forgot we were supposed to do a live stream. This was a few days ago, actually. And then I said, I know at least 5 people. And now I add you to the list. There's so many cases of men I know. I mean, probably women too, but mostly I talk to men that are dads that have lost their family only because of Islam, and the good dads and the good husbands and the, the overall, like, the wife. I can think of so many examples where the wife is worse off now because she
Mm-hmm.
left this guy that was a good man, and he's gonna actually end up with a better wife. Sorry to say, wife number one is going to be left behind, but he didn't choose that. He did not choose that, and you're not choosing this. Yes, you're forced into the situation because it's like, I don't always call Islam a cult, but in this way, it's very cult-like in the fact that they're like kicking you out just because you don't believe. And even though you truly are the best parent of your child, you will be the best parent of your child more than anybody else. And a stepdad, the funny thing is Islam says you can't trust stepdads, right? Like she's not allowed to, if she gets remarried, you get custody. It's like this rule.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're not Muslim, so now what? So now maybe it
I
goes
don't
to the
get. Yeah,
dad or
you're right.
something,
You're right.
right? Like,
Yeah,
but
you're
what I'm
right.
saying is it's so stupid. But like, what is your situation now? Where are you? What do you need? How are you surviving? This is what I want to talk about, because we have a
Yeah. So
GoFundMe for you, and I want to share the GoFundMe. But
yeah.
let's
So
introduce the
so
situation.
so okay. Now I don't know where to begin. It's just like obviously like every man lives for their own self-respect and dignity, right? But now I have like virtually lost all of that because the community that I belong to, my family, my social standing, my job, whatever money I had, the respect, on top of all that, like the respect or the reputation that I had, everything has been just wiped off because now everyone from that point where I was asked to move out and the whole thing, came out on surface. Everybody found out about my becoming a murtid or an apostate, and so from that point on, like now everybody just sees me through that lens. Like this guy is like the most stupid person ever who, you know, who gains nothing, loses everything, like in their eyes, like, like for them, I mean, even I sometimes tend to ponder and really get confused. Like, was it really worth it in the end to lose everything based on being true to yourself for the sake of honesty? Was it really you? Because I literally lose everything.
And
I gained nothing except that I was honest to myself or I was true to myself, and now I know better.
did you
Is
did you
that bad?
try to talk to your ex-wife and tell her you reconsider Islam?
Okay, so I initially like obviously I thought she was gonna, this is gonna impact her and she might try and look into my, kind of what I was, my evidences and things that I shared with her. She might look in, but she did not still. So then I was like really at a very, very low point in my, like situation over here where I am all alone by myself and I have no finances. It's really even hard like I sometimes just go by one meal a day, you know, and yeah, so I mean, but then I just told her like, I'm willing to this. I called her. I told her like, how about this? Like, if I suppress my doubts, I just fake it out. I just like pretend to be a Muslim. We go back, take our son, try and live like a normal family unit again for the sake of our son, because he does not deserve it at all. He does not deserve all this. I mean, he does not even know what Islam is. He just knows his mom and his dad. That's all. I mean, and the love, that unconditional love that he was giving us and he expects in return. We do not need to apply all these conditions of faith on the, the love that he expects from us. And yeah, so, but she just said, like, no, you know, I know it's not going to work out. And, like, I know what your beliefs are. And I was like, when I am saying that I am willing to suppress them, like, you cannot peek into my heart and, like, see, like, for that matter, nobody can peek into anyone's heart and see that if they really mean what they're saying.
I mean,
No one can, right?
That's an Islamic teaching.
Right.
that
Yeah,
you have to accept people at face value when they say they're Muslim.
exactly. Exactly. I told them, but like, she was like, no, man, it's not going to work out anymore. So the doors of reconciliation are closed. And the only, thing that we can stay connected for is our son. And that's about it. And, so I mean, I just carry, like, in a sense that I feel the burden of guilt and y- upon my own shoulders, that, it was me who actually dared to question. It was me who actually doubted. And now my son is going to suffer all that because of me doubting and because of me stepping out of line. And no matter how much I try to, you know, bring in sanity and bring in normalcy in this thing by sharing my side of the, you know, uh, whatever, my findings about Islam and stuff, and my more secular humanist kind of worldview, which has evolved now with my wife, which makes more sense, at least to me till now, unless I get evidence otherwise.
Yeah.
And but it just didn't work out. And now, like, my son was like, he used to love me so much, bro. Like, he used to call me Baba Jan, Baba Jana. And like, when I was playing with him, he used to push out everyone, like from the room. Like, he used to push away his mom even, like, he used to tell her, go, go, go. Like, I'm playing with him only. And because I was trying to be the kind of father who does not stop him from his explorations, right? Like, you know how it is, like, in basic culture, like, if a kid is like doing anything, like, hey, don't do that, don't do this. Like, I used to be like the one who would not stop him
Yeah.
unless it was gonna be something that's gonna physically hurt him,
Yeah.
and I didn't ever, like, I mean, yeah, it's no point talking about it. But I mean, it's just like, because I'm not going to be physically present for them. I'm not going to be there for him 24/7, like how father has to be present for a kid. And now this void, this emotional void and gap is just going to be a reality for him, which I
Mhm.
so feel bad about, because I just can't help but kind of place the blame on myself.
Yeah, I told you privately I've gone through some stuff as well, and um hopefully once things settle down, you'll have a chance to go for therapy, and like I have my therapist really helped me to work through some of these things. You shouldn't blame yourself, right? But this is like a long thing of processing. This is not going to be easy. But be with, it's okay to feel pain. It's okay to acknowledge that you feel sad. Don't it's easier said than done not to blame yourself, because you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know this was going to be
You're
the
right.
outcome, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, without saying, where you are and stuff, let's talk about the GoFundMe. So I want to share the GoFundMe, and I want to explain why I'm going to promote this. So give me a second. So I'm going to share my screen here. So you created a GoFundMe, and I
Yeah.
want you to tell me about why you did that,
So,
what you need, and what you're looking
so
for. Yeah.
basically, like, out of desperation, like, the first month when I was asked to leave, right? So I had, like, all my funds that I had brought with myself for the vacation here. I ran out of mm, any funds that I had, and then, I was just like completely all by myself out on the road, and I had nothing. I had nothing to myself, and I just, out of desperation, I wrote this down, and, I thought of I'll make a GoFund, but I never had the guts to share it with anyone. So I made this in July, but I never shared it with anyone because it just felt so below me. I've never,
Ask for money.
I mean, I have no other word than to say, like, begged for money from anyone.
Yeah.
And it's just been like so. Uh, but I just I kept pulling myself. Okay, I'd be able to figure something out. I'd be able to do something. I'd be able to do better. I don't have to beg for money from anyone. And but I just that's why I never shared it with anyone. And like, just now things have gotten like so tough. I literally have no money left, and this person, like this nice guy I met in California, like who was by chance going somewhere, and then he had a place, so that's why I'm able to stay somewhere, which is like a small space, and I still have to pay rent. I still have to come up with rent, and I took a loan from someone, and that's how I was able to survive this long. And but now I literally have no money left, and I just go by one meal a day, and like sometimes these guys give me some food to eat, and you
Yeah.
know, and
So I'm going to
other
add to
times
that.
it's not even that, and
Yeah, I just want to add
yeah.
to that that this is again through no fault of your own. You were put in this situation. You are currently in the US, but you don't have a
Mhm.
visa that you can work on, right? I won't give too many details, but you don't have a visa you can work on. Eventually you will be able to work. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what we're
yeah, yeah.
looking for here, guys, what we're looking for here is to support Jay through this temporary difficult situation where he's in between and his life has just been completely uprooted. He can't go back to Pakistan because one, how the hell is he going to go back to Pakistan after his wife just is going to claim in the court he's an apostate? Well, how is he going to safely go
Right.
back to Pakistan? He's going to be completely shunned by the community. It's like people are going to be talking. Everyone's going to know this guy's an apostate. That's the first thing. The second thing is like I mentioned, you don't have a work permit at the moment, right? So you're not able to work. You are completely dependent on the kindness of strangers. And if there is a situation where people should help, this is one of those situations where it's not that he doesn't want to work. It's not that he can't. He literally can't. He needs to. He needs money. And you maybe we can talk about the lawyer, right? You need a lawyer as
Mm.
well in order to
Yeah.
figure out the whole situation with living in the US. You need a lawyer with the whole custody situation because if she goes back, like this is not right that she could just take your child here and there and everywhere. Like no, that's
Yeah.
not right at all.
Yeah. And according to like the religion, like her religious ruling, like she's not even supposed to ask me. Like, I mean, she's not even doing anything wrong. There is no human rights aspect to this.
Yeah.
There's only the religious aspect in it. You and then, yeah, and Samir is completely right. Like, I mean, it's like I'm even if I want to work, for me, I cannot work. It's illegal for me. And the whole situation right now in the US with all the Trump rhetoric and like eyes going all crazy. So it's like you know, am left with no choice but to uh, look for kindness and just get through with this temporary phase as ASAP, as quickly as possible, and get to stable grounding and establish myself and become like a stable father for my son, where I can actually be there present for him, and I can be more present in his life, and show him that whatever I did, I had my reasons, and it was not I never wanted to abandon you, or this was never supposed to happen. You were supposed to get all my love and care, but I mean, he'll probably, well, once he grows, then he'll probably see my reasons, maybe. Even though he's going to be raised in an environment where the entire conditioning is going to be around Islam, and the religious dogmas are going to be fed to him, and he'd have no other way but to look at me as the villain or the bad character in this story. I'm sure, like later he's going to figure it out. Like, his father had his reasons, and things were not in his control, and he did what he did, just you know for the sake of honesty and truth. And truth and honesty are some things that do really matter in this world,
Yeah.
and and not being a hypocrite about it.
Exactly. I really do empathize with you in the situation you've been put in and now what you have to deal with. And honestly, all of this is because of Islam. The entire situation
Exactly.
is this entire problem is caused because of religious believers wanting to do what's right. And what's
Yeah.
right in this case is to destroy the whole family and you've tried everything, right? You've tried everything that you could honestly try that would make sense to try, and this is where you ended up. So
Yeah, and
I
Samir, just to add, like I even like, I mean, when I got like frustrated in the end by all my trials, I was like to my ex-wife, I said, so basically what you're saying is for you, it's more important that I believe in like instead of the love and care and the needs, emotional needs of our son, it's more important for you that I believe in some character from 1400 years ago in the tribal deserts who, did interstellar travel on a mythical horse and, went all the way to meet God apparently and haggled. He literally haggled with him for the amount of prayers
yeah.
and then, came back with all that kind of mythical stuff. So that's more important for me to believe in. And for you, it's more important that I believe in all that kind of myths and stories instead of the real, our real, the reality, like our real son right in front of us, whose emotional care and needs are more important than all that stuff. And then she was like, "Yeah, you're right. That is more important because I believe in the afterlife, and the afterlife is more important for me than this life. So whatever happens in this life, if my afterlife is getting impacted because of this, so I am obviously going to choose the afterlife." And then all I could just do was nod my head, you know, just be like, "Man, this is unbelievable."
It really feels unreal. It feels unreal that in 2025, I mean, it's one thing to believe in a religion, but it's a whole other thing to rip apart a whole family. And, to some extent, everyone has a right to choose who they want to be with, right? Everyone has that
Mhm.
right. But no one has a right to just rip away one side of your child's parent, like one parent, half of your child's like parent. Basically, half of your child is the dad and half's the mom. Nobody should have the right to do that ever.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to be with me, fine, but I still have full rights to see my child, to spend time with them. And I do hope that through the American justice system and court system and stuff, that you'll be able to, finagle this and make it work. I think it will. Like, let's be hopeful,
Yeah,
let's be
you're
positive,
right. Like because in the US they care more about the needs and care of the child. But like for that also, I need to come up with funds. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need to
yeah.
come up with lots of funds, man. Like this is no walk in
Yep,
the park situation. Like these
exactly.
legal
One
battles are, yeah,
expensive, yeah, for sure. So one step at a time.
yeah.
Let's get you, stable and, having at least your day-to-day expenses for now. You have, I was very impressed with the way you wrote this, and it shows
Mhm,
that, you have a very concrete plan. You know exactly what needs to be done. The money will go to good use, and you will
mhm,
take those steps in order to become self-sufficient.
mhm,
You did not, like, I offered to do this, so it wasn't like you asked me, can I do this?
mhm.
I myself offered to share this. And I really do hope that more people, thank you, Paige, for donating. I really do hope more people will donate as well and support you through this tough time. We're not going to talk about where he is at the moment, Paige. We're not going to discuss the actual location. Just want to keep it as
Yeah,
like
because
less
like
detailed as possible.
one fact
Yeah,
is like, if people don't know, but like apostates or people who reject Islam, like they get like in a very precarious situation where, just by association, even your family back home can get hurt or they can get, face violence or other extremes just because just by association.
yeah.
So that's why this face mask, that's why you have to cover your identity and everything.
Exactly. So I think
And
we'll end on that, even though there's so many other things to talk about. Let's
yeah,
not go into those. We'll talk about those another time. You have a whole list you
yeah,
sent me
sure.
of things about Islam that you wanted to discuss. Um, what I would say is I think this is a good time to stop. We've covered a lot. We covered your story in details, and I want to end on this. I do wish you really well. I hope that things go
Yeah.
well for you.
Thank you,
Things
man. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, yeah, no, no worries. That's why I do this. This is part of the job of having a channel, is to be responsible and support people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah, and I just hope I'm able to get through this phase really quickly and I'll be like a role model or an example for others, others who dare to take these steps. So, just like
Yeah,
you are a role model and example for others, like I would want to be like someone who really becomes like a success story in this case and like, lead by example and show to others that, like holding on to truth and honesty can lead to a better place, if not like even if you go through a transition period where you get really in the worst possible situations, but you fight through it, you become like a stronger man and or woman, and you come out even better, and then you're able to live life
Exactly.
and yeah.
Exactly. All right, everyone. So I'm going to end on that. Thank you, everyone in advance who donated. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. We're going to keep doing such shows. If you'd like to support Jay, the link is going to be pinned below after the stream ends. Really appreciate your bravery in doing this and the risks that you're taking to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, my email is listed if you want to get in touch with Jay directly. It's abdullah.adam@gmail.com. You can email me. And if you'd like to support as well, the GoFundMe is there. You can directly donate right on there. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. And
All right. Thank you, Samir.
yeah, you're most welcome.
We'll keep in
Everyone,
touch, and
go ahead.
I said, yeah, we'll keep in touch, and like maybe like another part like we can do where we
Yes.
dissect other
Yeah,
things
let's
that we disagree about in Islam also.
hopefully
Like this thought.
once things stabilize, so maybe a few months from
Yeah,
now, we
yeah,
can
yeah,
do part two. I would love to do that because I
yeah.
think there's a lot more you have to talk about. But I really wanted this one to be more about you than the actual Islamic topic. So we'll get to that next time. All right,
All
everyone.
right.
Thanks, everyone. Final words: leave Islam behind. Life is better and more beautiful without it. And one more thing I want to suggest, everyone, is say thank you to the patrons who have continued to support the channel and keep it going. Really do appreciate all of you, and thank you so much. This is Mr. Friendly Ex-Muslim signing out. Bye, everyone.